not just at a regional level, but globally. For US, President Donald Trump is not backing down.
Ideally, you'd like to see it, but what we want to see is we don't want to see people killed, and we want to see a little bit of freedom for these people. These people have been living in hell for a long time. That used to be a hell of a country. I have friends that used to invest in Iran, and they did well with their investments. It was a great place. The people were great. Even the leadership was good. And now it's living in hell.
Expressing solidarity for the protesters, Trump has openly called for the takeover of institutions and continued demonstrations against Khamenei. He declared help is on the way. Calling Trump's statement aggressive, Tehran has approached the United Nations, urging intervention. The region, however, has been combative. Counter-protests have also been conducted to show solidarity with the regime. With Iran on edge, is Tehran staring at US military action?
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho befikar.
13,000 placements last year. At Amity, we are committed to nurturing passionate, hardworking and proactive professionals.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा,
मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी, चाहे जो भी हो।
पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला। MDH।
मेरी चिमनी टूट जाएगी। What are you doing?
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
The icy cold waters of the Atlantic Ocean are getting hot, and how? The United States, in an overnight operation, has seized 2 oil tankers, one in the North Atlantic near Iceland, the other one near the Caribbean Sea. The one caught or seized near Iceland is Russia flagged, and the one that's caught near the Caribbean Sea was apparently a shadow tanker, a dark tanker carrying Venezuelan oil to China. Now, both the tankers were carrying Venezuelan oil, which is sanctioned by the United States. There is an embargo. It's interesting and a little curious how the 2 tankers could leave such heavily guarded waters, which are guarded both by the US Coast Guard and the US Navy, and reach this far. In fact, in the case of the merchant vessel Marine,
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho befikar.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला। MDH।
अरे टेंशन किस बात की? सेंचुरी प्रोवुड का प्रीमियम प्लस है ना। लो एमिशन है, हाई डेंसिटी है, वाटर रेजिस्टेंट भी है, टर्माइट एंड बोरो रेजिस्टेंट भी है। यानी ये है जहां नो टेंशन वहां।
प्रीमियम प्लस बाय सेंचुरी प्रोवुड।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा,
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो, मतवारा हुआ रे।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी, चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा।
The icy cold waters of the Atlantic Ocean are getting hot, and how? The United States, in an overnight operation, has seized 2 oil tankers, one in the North Atlantic near Iceland, the other one near the Caribbean Sea. The one caught or seized near Iceland is Russia flagged, and the one that's caught near the Caribbean Sea was apparently a shadow tanker, a dark tanker carrying Venezuelan oil to China. Now, both the tankers were carrying Venezuelan oil, which is sanctioned by the United States. There is an embargo. It's interesting and a little curious how the 2 tankers could leave such heavily guarded waters, which are guarded both by the US Coast Guard and the US Navy, and reach this far. In fact, in the case of the merchant vessel Marinera, which is Russia flagged and was caught near Iceland by the US Navy with help from the United Kingdom Navy, the US Navy was on the chase, hot on the chase of this vessel for about 2 weeks, which shows that it was completely tracked, and both the sides were aware, because even in the case of the Russians, a submarine was closely following or shadowing this tanker which was carrying oil for Russia. Now, it's interesting why Russia, which itself has so much of energy, needs this oil from Venezuela, and that's where the whole geopolitics comes into play. Because remember, post the capture, abduction, kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, by the United States, US.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
A very warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Trending, as we bring to you the stories that are breaking the internet, and beyond the trends, the stories that are grabbing everybody's attention and demanding voices to grow louder for justice. We start with one such story, that of the horrors of Pak Grooming gang in United Kingdom, what we call the Pak Rapist gangs. The back in focus, a teenage Sikh girl is rescued by hundreds of Sikh community members who stormed the abductor's residence in London, putting the spotlight on the failure of authorities in United Kingdom on the crackdown of these gangs. Next up, we also tell you why 2 badminton players from Denmark have backed out from the India Open in New Delhi, and how Indian shuttler Kitambi Srikanth has smashed back the criticism. That's not all. We also have a milestone to celebrate today for India's efforts in maritime heritage and diplomacy, as the INS V Kondinya completes the historic 18-day voyage to reach Muscat. We have all this and much more lined up for you on Trending tonight with me, Rakshita. When law enforcement failed to crack down on the Pakistani grooming gang, more than 200 Sikhs took the rescue of a teenage girl on themselves from this rapist gang. Now, the details are disturbing. In West London's Hounslow, a teenage Sikh girl was abducted, held captive, allegedly gang raped by a group of men of Pakistani origin, 5 to 6 men. The assault involved up to 6 perpetrators and described as part of the grooming gang, who's known to exploit vulnerable through deception and coercion. Now, this incident quickly spread through social media and community networks, leading to a large-scale protest outside the accused residence. And we'll just show you those visuals. Approximately 200 to 300 members of the Sikh community gathered, confronting police officers who were protecting the property of the accused. Sikhs who rescued the girl from the Pakistani groomer's flat report that they had complained to the police, but no action was taken. And they were frustrated. They mobilized their mobilized their community and surrounded the flat. The commotion persisted for several hours. Just take a look how they were at the doorstep of that abductor. So videos from the scene show crowds chanting and clashing with authorities, echoing frustrations over perceived failures. The girl was eventually rescued through community intervention, but the event has reignited debates on the systematic child sexual exploitation and targeted ethnic violence. Viewers, we'll just play out that sound, play out what happened at the doorstep when members of that from the Sikh community who were out to rescue, they had gathered and they in fact rescued the girl.
Allowing this to go ahead. Even the neighbors.
I've seen the video.
Yes, even the neighbors are saying, they go, we've seen it, we know what you're talking about. The door's been opened, the girl in there, she looks like she's 12 years old. It's absolutely ridiculous. The police are turning a blind eye to this. The parents have gone to the police many, many times and nothing is being done about this. Why is this allowed in 2026 in the UK? This is supposed to be one of the cleanest countries in the world. How is this allowed? And you guys, every single one of you that are living here, is allowing this to go ahead under your noses.
We don't agree with grooming, manipulation, abuse. She will not convert. We are Sikhs.
Even the neighbors.
I've seen the video.
Yes, even the neighbors are saying, they go, we've seen it, we know what you're talking about. The door's been opened, the girl in there, she looks like she's 12 years old. It's absolutely ridiculous. The police are turning a blind eye to this. The parents have gone to the police many, many times and nothing is being done about this. Why is this allowed in 2026 in the UK? This is supposed to be one of the cleanest countries in the world. How is this allowed? And you guys, every single one of you...
We'll just move on from this story and we'll get you the fresh controversy that has been now witnessed from the national capital. World number 3 and 4-time world medalist Anders Antonsen of Denmark, along with his compatriot Mia, has in fact quit the Indian Open today after citing Delhi's extreme pollution, the high AQI and dirty conditions from this Super 750 badminton event. This has happened for the third consecutive year. And that's not all, viewers. He took to Instagram to further reveal what has happened. Antonsen, who withdrew from the event prior to the draws being made, also revealed that due to his withdrawal, the world governing body has punished him with a fine of $5,000. Antonsen last played at the Indian Open 2023, where he lost in the second round. And what's saddening for the Indian sports fraternity and management is that Antonsen isn't the only sports person who voiced the opinion. Danish shuttler Mia Blichfeldt has also, she was in fact the first one to quit from this tournament. She said there were bird droppings on the court, that there was dirt and nothing has changed from last year. She was lamenting, but there was a quick reaction that has come in from Kidambi Shrikant, who's an Indian shuttler as well. Take a listen to the reaction that have come in. Also what the Badminton Association of India has to say.
Very dirty and really unhealthy conditions for all the players. Everyone is warming up in 2 layers of pants and winter jackets and gloves and hats. It's not good warm-up preparations for a player who has to go on court and move fast and go in splits. I know everyone is doing their best to make the conditions better for the players, but I think there is still way to go, and I hope it's going to be better for World Championships here in summer.
So the members of the Indian Sports Fraternity from Indian Badminton were quick to react. As I just said, former world number 1 Kidambi Shrikant defended the playing conditions at the ongoing India Open, asserting that he's yet to come across anything bad at the venue and that minor organizational challenges are not specific to one host nation. And in fact, he also said that when he was playing matches in Denmark, there was a power cut for 1 full hour, but nobody made any ado about it. But there were, of course, many other athletes who have also been appreciating the India Open. Take a listen to what Shrikant said.
I feel the conditions are fine. I don't really see any bad thing that is happening. And with my own experience, I think back in 2016-17, around that time, I had to wait for about an hour in between my match in Denmark because the light went out. And then Pranay was just telling me, he had to play his match the following day. He played one set first day and then the second set on the following day. So these things do happen. You just that nobody does it wantedly. Every country wants to do it really well.
मैं ये भी नहीं बोल सकता हूँ कि 100% वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप के लिए ये इस तैयारी के बाद परफेक्ट था, लेकिन हमने इवेंट किया है इसलिए कि कुछ छोटी मोटी अगर कमियां हैं तो हम उसको वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप में ठीक करेंगे. और ऑफ कोर्स वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप में आपको एक सब कुछ बेहतरीन मिलेगा. जो मैंने बोला जैसे पिजन उड़ रहे थे, उसको हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते हैं. ठंड नो डाउट है. उसके लिए जब हमको मालूम चला तो हमने हीटर्स लगा दिए हैं. शाम को हम और हीटर्स बढ़ा रहे हैं. तो और जहाँ तक वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप की बात है, अगस्त में है, तो उस समय ठंड वाला प्रॉब्लम नहीं रहेगा.
Now, just let us tell you more details now. Badminton Association of India, BAI, had moved this year's India Open Super 750 from the KD Jadhav Hall to the Indira Gandhi Indoor Stadium as a preparatory step for the World Championships that India is going to host in August after 17 years. And that's why this was a new venue, and this could not satisfy at least the two Danish shuttlers this time. All right, let's take a look at the trending stories that are running hot on social media right now. Donald Trump ignited backlash during a Michigan auto plant visit after a worker shouted "pedophile protector" to him. Video shows Trump appearing to make an objectionable gesture and also hurling expletives back. The brief clash went viral, overshadowing his message and drawing criticism from opponents who called it embarrassing, while supporters said he was provoked. Nearly a month after Avatar, Fire and Ash hit theatres, Zoe Saldana has officially become the highest-grossing actor in global box office history, with films totaling over $15.4 billion worldwide. The 47-year-old now tops industry rankings. She uniquely stars in the three highest-grossing movies ever: Avatar: The Way of Water and Avengers: Endgame. They've all crossed the billion mark. Indian women's futsal team scripted history with their first ever international victory, thrashing Maldives 11-1 at the stadium in Thailand. The dominant performance came in their opening match of the SAFF Women's Futsal Championship on the 13th of January, marking a major milestone for Indian women's team. India's squash player Senthil Kumar produced a dominant display to move into the pre-quarterfinals of the DR21 Motor City Open, competing in the PSA Silver event. Velavan defeated Samuel in straight games, winning 11-9, 11-5, 11-6, showing sharp control and consistency throughout the match. He never allowed his opponent to settle. The convincing victory underlined Velavan's strong form and growing confidence on the professional circuit. Zootopia 2 is on track to make history as the highest-grossing Hollywood animated film of all time. Industry projections suggest the sequel will surpass Inside Out 2's massive $1.69 billion global haul as early as this coming weekend. Now, driven by strong repeat viewership, family audiences and global appeal, the film's box office momentum shows no signs of slowing, positioning Disney for yet another landmark animation achievement. BTS has officially announced their long-awaited world tour, but Indian fans were left disappointed as India did not feature on the initial list of tour stops. The omission is striking given the group's enormous fan base and consistent social media trends across the country. While anticipation remains high, it appears the BTS armies in India may have to wait longer for a chance to see the global superstars perform live. And news from the court. Indian shuttlers Trisa Jolly and Gayatri Gopichand kicked off their Indian Open campaign with an impressive first-round victory. The highly anticipated live-action adaptation of How to Train Your Dragon is set to release on Netflix, and this is going to happen on 10th of February. Fans can look forward to seeing their favorite dragons and characters brought to life with stunning visuals, action-packed adventure, making it a must-watch for both long-time fans and new audiences alike. Trevor Noah is set to host the Grammy Awards for the 6th consecutive year, making this edition his last as All right, viewers, let's shift our focus to the other trending story that we are tracking for you. We celebrate. And now we celebrate an incredible feat. And this is as INSV Condinia successfully complete the historic voyage to Muscat in Oman today after 18 days at sea. Throughout this expedition, the Indian Navy underscored its commitment to maritime diplomacy and heritage preservation, regional cooperation. INSV Condinia's voyage stands as a testament to India's civilizational maritime outlook and its role as a responsible and culturally rooted maritime nation in the Indian Ocean region. Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council member Sanjeev Sanyal shared the milestone on X, posting the image with the caption, "Enjoying the moment with Skipper Vikas Shioran and Expedition in Charge Hemant Kumar. We did it." In fact, let's also listen in to what Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal's wife, Smita Barua, who was also present at the momentous occasion, had to say.
Was frantically tracking the ship because we had this app where we could see her progress, and whenever there'd be a pause, again the heart rate would go up, and finally there was a time when she was pitching and rolling a lot, and I didn't know how the guys on board would fare, especially the naval architect Commander Hemant, and my husband who's an economist, and the naval doctor who's on board. Those are not hardened seafarers, but I think it's the Josh that kept them going, and I'm so proud of them.
So the ship launched in February this year from Goa and is based on a 5th century common era ship depicted in the paintings of Ajanta caves. The project that began as an idea in the mind of Sanjeev Sanyal, who was inspired by an Ajanta painting, a tripartite agreement was signed in July 2023 between the Ministry of Culture, the Indian Navy and the Hodi Innovation, that's a Goa-based private boat builder, with the funding from the Ministry of Culture. And following the keel laying in September 2023, the vessel's construction was undertaken using a traditional method of stitching by a team of skilled artisans from Kerala that was led by master shipwright Babu Sankaran. And over several months, the team painstakingly stitched wooden planks on the ship's hull using coir rope, coconut fiber and natural resin. His sails, of course, we will be continuing to get you more details. Okay, we have a defense expert from Indian Navy, retired officer from Indian Navy, Commander Bikramjit Singh, joining us on the broadcast. Commander Singh, thank you so much for joining us. And this is, of course, indeed a historic feat. This also talks about India's maritime heritage, India reclaiming its maritime history, and the fact that this was made in India. So there are so many of angles to, in fact, cover in this very, very beautiful story that has found its completion today. So your first reaction?
Absolutely, Ratika. There's no doubt that this speaks really volumes about the Indian maritime history and the whole. And this is actually a show of, like you said, maritime diplomacy. You see, the Navy has a role of diplomacy, a diplomatic role. It has a benign role, and it has its main function being, one of the defense services of the Navy of the country. So this pure activity is mainly to show the world that what the Indian, the maritime strength of the Navy and the maritime strength of India as such. And let me tell you, Ratika, all the more important this year is, of course, the sunrise kind of moment for the Indian maritime industry. As you're all aware, the maritime, the Ministry of Port Shipping, led by Mr. Sonowal, under the able guidance of the Prime Minister and all, putting a lot of thrust on India and trying to project India as a superpower or as an emerging power in the maritime affairs of the whole world. So I think this is a very bold step. It's a very good step to show that, yes, we have been doing it since the 5th century. BC, and we are now also going to show our strength and get our place back in the maritime sphere to tell the world that yes, we are here again, we have arrived, and we are going to prove it to the world that India is not lagging or is no less than anybody else in the world. And Ratika, yes, one more thing before I hand over to you is the fact that the entire world today is focused on India because the kind of thrust which is coming from the ministry under the able guidance of the PM himself and the Honorable Minister, the world is looking with abated breath what is going to happen in India, and it is taking notice, and I believe this is only going to help the cause further. Ratika.
Right, Commander Singh, many thanks for joining us on Republic TV and, of course, sharing this celebratory moment with us. And viewers, now as we come to a close, we get you the glimpse into the ceremony. General Upendra Dwivedi, Chief of Army Staff, and Mrs. Sunita Dwivedi, AWWA President, who warmly welcomed the National Cadet Corps, the NCC, at the Army House today. Interacting with the cadets, the Army Chief commended the pivotal role of NCC in fostering national unity and social cohesion, emphasizing the values of discipline, perseverance, hard work, and leadership as the foundation for shaping character and achieving excellence in life. Thanks for watching.
In the month of May 2025.
Army is not a profession, it's a way of life. That's what we live. And हम तो 9 साल से NCC ज्वाइन कर चुके थे, तो उसके बाद तो पता नहीं लगा ज़िंदगी कैसे चली गई, और अभी भी लग रहा है NCC में ही है। और आप लोगों को देख के बहुत अच्छा लगता है, बहुत अच्छा लगता है, अपने पुराने दिन याद आ जाते हैं।
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho befikar.
13,000 placements last year. At Amity, we are committed to nurturing passionate, hardworking and proactive professionals.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद ये तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा।
मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी, चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
MDH की देगी मिर्च,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मिर्च।
अरे टेंशन किस बात की? सेंचुरी प्रोवुड का प्रीमियम प्लस है ना, लो एमिशन है, हाई डेंसिटी है, वाटर रेजिस्टेंट भी है, टर्माइट एंड बोरो रेजिस्टेंट भी है। यानी ये है जहां नो टेंशन वहां।
प्रीमियम प्लस बाय सेंचुरी प्रोवुड।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता, उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ,
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है, सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
The icy cold waters of the Atlantic Ocean are getting hot, and how? The United States, in an overnight operation, has seized 2 oil tankers, one in the North Atlantic near Iceland, the other one near the Caribbean Sea. The one caught or seized near Iceland is Russia flagged, and the one that's caught near the Caribbean Sea was apparently a shadow tanker, a dark tanker carrying Venezuelan oil to China. Now, both the tankers were carrying Venezuelan oil, which is sanctioned by the United States. There is an embargo. It's interesting and a little curious how the two tankers could leave such heavily guarded waters, which are guarded both by the US Coast Guard and the US Navy, and reach this far. In fact, in the case of the merchant vessel Marinera, which is Russia flagged and was caught near Iceland by the US Navy with help from the United Kingdom Navy, the US Navy was on the chase, hot on the chase of this vessel for about 2 weeks, which shows that it was completely tracked, and both the sides were aware, because even in the case of the Russians, a submarine was closely following or shadowing this tanker which was carrying oil for Russia. Now, it's interesting why Russia, which itself has so much of energy, needs this oil from Venezuela, and that's where the whole geopolitics comes into play. Because remember, post the capture, abduction, kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, by the United States, the US has been building, President Trump himself leading from the front, a scenario where they want to really grab Greenland from Denmark. And so they really want to show that the security of North Atlantic is compromised and they need to be there, and that's why they need Greenland. So maybe it's because of that, we don't know. But taken together, it's clear that in the case of merchant vessel Marinera and the merchant vessel Sofia, which was caught, a dark fleet caught from near Caribbean Sea, which was taking the oil to China, United States has made it amply clear, taken together.
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho befikar.
अरे टेंशन किस बात की? सेंचुरी प्रोवुड का प्रीमियम प्लस है ना, लो एमिशन है, हाई डेंसिटी है, वाटर रेजिस्टेंट भी, टर्माइट एंड बोरो रेजिस्टेंट भी है। यानी ये है जहां नो टेंशन वहां।
प्रीमियम प्लस बाय सेंचुरी प्रोवुड।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने, सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी, चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
झुमका, तेरा झुमका, तेरा झुमका।
नॉट देयर, मेरा काउंटर टॉप टूट जाएगा।
तेरा झुमका।
मेरी चिमनी टूट जाएगी। What are you doing?
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
MDH की देगी मिर्च,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मिर्च।
The icy cold waters of the Atlantic Ocean are getting hot, and how? The United States, in an overnight operation, has seized 2 oil tankers, one in the North Atlantic near Iceland, the other one near the Caribbean Sea. The one caught or seized near Iceland is Russia flagged, and the one that's caught near the Caribbean Sea was apparently a shadow tanker, a dark tanker carrying Venezuelan oil to China. Now, both the tankers were carrying Venezuelan oil, which is sanctioned by the United States. There is an embargo. It's interesting and a little curious how the two tankers could leave such heavily guarded waters, which are guarded both by the US Coast Guard and the US Navy, and reach this far. In fact, in the case of the merchant vessel Marinera, which is Russia flagged and was caught near Iceland by the US Navy with help from the United Kingdom Navy, the US Navy was on the chase, hot on the chase of this vessel for about 2 weeks, which shows that it was completely tracked, and both the sides were aware, because even in the case of the Russians, a submarine was closely following or shadowing this tanker which was carrying oil for Russia. Now, it's interesting why Russia, which itself has so much of energy, needs this oil from Venezuela, and that's where the whole geopolitics comes into play. Because remember, post the capture, abduction, kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, by the United States, the US has been building, President Trump himself leading from the front, a scenario where they want to really grab Greenland from Denmark. And so they really want to show that the security of North Atlantic is compromised and they need to be there, and that's why they need Greenland. So maybe it's because of that, we don't know. But taken together, it's clear that in the case of merchant vessel Marinera and the merchant vessel Sofia, which was caught, a dark fleet caught from near Caribbean Sea, which was taking the oil to China, United States has made it amply clear, taken together all these actions, that when it comes to its neighborhood, the Western Hemisphere, the so-called Monroe or the latest Donroe doctrine, they are the boss, they are the mafioso. Because the first reaction that has come from Russia says that this is absolutely in breach of international marine law. Now, United States does not subscribe to it. There is something called UN clause, United Nations Convention on the Law of the Seas. The US is not a signatory to it, and that's why they sort of, wherever their navy operates, they behave as if they are a law unto themselves, even in otherwise peace operations, more so in military operations. In this case, it's interesting that these shadow fleets are or have been working for Venezuela.
Was it justified to disturb an ongoing?
We are not speaking to our chief minister already told us what Republic is. Don't tell us about it.
Wasn't that green file that was taken away during an ongoing ED investigation, ma'am?
There's nothing new. This is the BJP's way of dealing with opponents.
Wasn't that green file that was taken during an ongoing ED investigation, ma'am?
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for the debate.
On the show tonight, the heated debate between Mamata and the Enforcement Directorate in court. And all eyes now remain on Supreme Court's hearing tomorrow. At 8:30 tonight, while the Indian Army has made it completely clear that Operation Sindoor is on, Lashkar has now issued a Pahalgam-like threat yet again. And at 9 p.m. tonight, my colleague Niranjan and Abhishek get you the big debate on the Iran uprising and if a strike is now imminent. Ladies and gentlemen, when was the last you saw a chief minister barging into a room where there is an ongoing investigation that has taken place? What unfolded in Kolkata this week poses a very, very uncomfortable question for India's constitutional order. The question is, how far can political authority really stretch before it begins to intrude into the functioning of law itself? The immediate trigger in West Bengal was a search that was conducted by a federal agency, that's the Enforcement Directorate, at the premises linked to a political consultancy firm called IPAC. Mind you, this was a political consultancy firm and not against a political party. These searches were a part of a long-running money laundering investigation, and that was tied to the coal smuggling case. Such searches are certainly not unusual and legal in nature, nor is it political anger over them. But what has no recent parallel is the manner in which the search was interrupted. The sitting Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee, arrived at the site, and when Enforcement Directorate officers were in the middle of documenting and extracting digital material, that's when the Chief Minister entered accompanied by state officials, including the Chief Secretary, and left with the files and devices while the operation was still in progress. It was Chief Minister's direct physical intervention into an active investigation conducted under a parliamentary law. The agency has now told the Calcutta High Court that the search had to be terminated and no seizure could be completed because the chain of custody was broken mid-search. A Chief Minister stepping into a live search and removing material rewrites the basic understanding of how investigations function, and that too in a constitutional system. The implications extend well beyond this case. Central agencies rely on the state police for security as well as cooperation. As those same police can be deployed to interrupt, to retrieve, or overriding an ongoing operation, the authority of any investigation touching political power becomes uncertain. Mamata Banerjee has framed the entire episode as a resistance to political targeting ahead of the elections. The argument will play out in the court as well as in public debate. The precedent, however, has already been set. Once executive power is seen overruling the investigative process in real time, the distinction between the state and the subject of investigation becomes to dissolve. In a system which is built on due process of law, that, ladies and gentlemen, is certainly a dangerous moment. Can you really do politics on every possible issue? And tonight, the debate is also on the dangerous precedent that has been set out.
The standoff between West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and the Enforcement Directorate continues. The court dismissed a plea by the Trinamool Congress seeking protection of its confidential political data.